Welcome back to The Deep Dive. Today we've got a snack of sources detailing some pretty chaotic moves within the Toronto Maple Leafs organization.
It really is the perfect snapshot of the team right now, isn't it? You have this immediate panic colliding with the long-term hope for the future.
Exactly. So our mission today is to figure out why the Leafs completely reversed course on a key coaching position. I mean, just 48 hours after a huge change.
Right. And then what the data actually says about the new guy. After that, we'll pivot to the future, scouting the defensemen who are kicking things off at the 2026 World Juniors.
And when we say turbulence, we mean it. The big news, and we should say this is coming from Nick Capreos over at Sportsnet, is that right after firing assistant coach Mark Seavard, the Leafs have already hired Steve Sullivan, promoted him straight from the Toronto Marlies.
And that's the thing, the timeline is the real story here. All the initial reports suggested that Brad Sullivan was going to take his time.
Yeah, that there would be no immediate hire.
No immediate replacement. So for this to happen almost instantly, it screams pressure, a kind of panic need to show they're doing something.
A change of heart that fast, I mean, we're talking 2 days, it suggests the front office thinks they just can't wait one more game, not one.
Exactly. The action is immediate, which means the mandate is fix this power play now.
So let's talk about this new voice, Steve Sullivan. He's got some history with the team. He was a Leaf back in the 1999 era.
Yeah, nice little narrative touch.
But the crucial part is he's coming from the Marlies coaching staff.
And that role with the Marlies, well, it tells you everything you need to know about his new job description.
The power play guy.
It was the power play guy. His main responsibility was running their power play. So even though the team says responsibilities will be, shared at first, he's the one filling that Savard vacancy, no question.
Okay, that makes sense on the surface. A specialist for a specialized problem. But this is where the numbers get, well, tricky. This is why the fans are so split on this. If he was running the Marlies power play, how good was it?
Okay, this is the hard data point, and it needs some context.
Yeah.
Under Sullivan, the Marlies power play ranked 22nd in the AHL.
22nd.
With a 16% efficiency rate.
So wait a minute. The Leafs power play, the one that got Seabard fired, was dead last in the NHL at what, around 13%?
Roughly, yeah.
So you're telling me they fired a guy with a 13% success rate to hire a guy whose unit was running at 16% in a lower league?
That's the statistical conundrum, yes.
Yeah.
You're talking about maybe a 3 percentage point improvement over the literal worst unit in the NHL.
It just raises the obvious question, right? Why? Why make that hire if the track record isn't a massive leap forward? To the average person, that looks like a lateral move.
And that's a fair criticism from a headline perspective, but this is where we have to dig a little deeper. You have to look at the context of the AHL. It's apples and oranges, really. The Marlies just don't have the NHL weapons. They don't have an Austin Matthews in the bumper spot. They don't have Mitch Marner pulling the strings on the half wall.
That's true. You give Sullivan elite talent, and maybe his system it clicks instantly. But what else is going on with the Marlies numbers? Why else would that 16% be so low?
This is probably the most important mitigating factor, and it's the one that gets missed in all the noise.
Which is?
Opportunity. The Marlies were second to last in the entire AHL in drawing penalties.
Second last.
They had the second fewest power play opportunities in the league.
Huh. But wait, couldn't you argue that's part of the coaching problem? I mean, shouldn't a good system teach players how to create pressure and draw those penalties in the first place?
That's a valid point, but think about it this way. When you have so few chances, your percentage is incredibly volatile. It's like judging a batter on 10 at-bats for a whole month.
One slump and your numbers tank.
Exactly. One good night, and they skyrocket. It's hard to build consistency, especially the AHL with all the roster turnover.
Okay, so the optimistic spin is it literally couldn't get worse than 13%.
Pretty much.
The team needed a jolt, a new voice, and Sullivan knows the organization. Plus, he played over 1,000 NHL games. That has to count for something in the room, right?
Absolutely. That experience, that veteran presence,
Yeah.
It means he can talk to the superstars on their level. It's not just theory from a whiteboard.
But let's get to the main concern here, the thing that keeps popping up in the sources. The fear is that this isn't really a new direction.
That it's just more the same.
Yeah. Sullivan's whole mandate is about focusing on individual skills and offensive development. That sounds an awful lot like what we heard about Mark Seavard.
And that is the risk of hiring from within. You're basically betting that the person was the problem, not the philosophy.
So what does that bad philosophy look like on the ice? What does that individual skill focus turn into when it fails?
It turns into what we saw before. Lots of ineffective perimeter passing. The puck just cycles high in the zone. Everyone's looking for the perfect seam instead of just attacking the net. You need structure first, especially against tough NHL penalty kills.
So if we see the same drop pass entry, the same hesitation to shoot, then we know we've got a problem.
Although it's a systemic issue, yeah. The question is, does having guys like Matthews and Marner unlock the good side of that philosophy, or does the passive structure just take over again?
Well, we don't have to wait long. The game against Ottawa is next. That'll be our first look.
And it really brings up that bigger question we need to think about. If it isn't the coach, what other systemic change is actually needed?
Let's put a pin in that for a second. Let's pivot. If the short-term fix doesn't work, all our hope is on the pipeline. So let's look away from the NHL pressure cooker and onto the international stage, the World Juniors.
It's the perfect transition, actually, because we've got two big Leafs defense prospects who are front and center at the 2026 World Juniors.
Ben Danford and Victor Johansson. And the hype around Ben Danford with Team Canada is, it's immense right now. He's the guy everyone points to as the future of the Leafs blue line. Probably the closest prospect to making the NHL.
This tournament is a huge test for him. He's not just some seventh defenseman. He's expected to be a foundational piece for Team Canada.
So he's going to be logging big minutes.
Huge minutes. They're going to rely on him in all the key defensive situations.
So when we're watching him, what should we be looking for specifically? What's the NHL ready skill?
It's his puck transport. His ability to get the puck in his own end and make a clean, smart first pass. He kills the forecheck before it can even start. That's what you watch for, how he relieves pressure.
It's worth noting he doesn't have a letter on his jersey this year. Porter Martone is the captain for Team Canada.
Right, which just shows you the kind of depth and leadership that team has. And speaking of skills, the Leafs also have Victor Johansson playing for Team Sweden.
The skater.
All about speed and mobility. He's the modern NHL defenseman prototype.
And looking at the tournament as a whole, the sources we have suggest this Team Canada is just stacked.
Oh, they are so deep. They actually had to leave some incredible players off the roster, and their goaltending situation tells you everything.
I saw a note about Jack Ivankovic.
Yeah, Ivankovic is widely seen as the future of Canadian goaltending, maybe the next big thing.
And he's the backup.
He's the backup in this tournament.
Yeah.
That's how good their starter is. It just gives you a window into the level of talent the Leafs are going to have to compete with down the road.
Wow. And if you needed another reason to tune in tonight, the opener is against Czechia,
The revenge game.
the team that knocked them out last year. You couldn't ask for a better story to kick things off.
It is absolutely must-watch hockey, and it's the best way for you, the listener, to get a real look at what the Leafs' future could be.
Okay, let's bring it all together. What we've looked at today are two completely different timelines for this organization. On one hand, you have this immediate high-stakes gamble on a new coach to fix a broken power play. On the other, you're watching long-term hope like Ben Danford develop on the world stage.
And that's the tension Brad Treliving is trying to manage. The sudden coaching hire shows just how intense the pressure got. The stats on Sullivan are, they're a legitimate concern at 16%, but from their point of view, they had to do something to jolt the system out of that 13% rut.
And it brings us back to that question we put a pin in. It's the final thought we want to leave you with. We've talked about how Sullivan's mandate focusing on individual skill sounds a lot like the old approach.
So